First, Poland's Prime Minister says the standoff at the Belarus border is a political crisis, not a migration crisis. But others are warning it could quickly turn into a military one. Estonia's defense minister calls it the most volatile security challenge in the past 30 years. As many as 4,000 migrants facing desperate conditions are packed against the border on the Belarusian side, trying to cross into Poland. Guards say almost 600 attempted to breach the border last night, and the EU believes more are on their way. The EU accuses Belarusian strongman Alexander Lukashenko of luring the migrants and then pushing them to the border as revenge for sanctions.
This is a challenge to the whole of the European Union, and this is not a migration crisis. This is the attempt of an authoritarian regime to try to destabilize its democratic neighbors. This will not succeed.
The Polish Prime Minister went even further, calling Lukashenko's actions state terrorism. Lukashenko denies all of it. But EU and Polish officials met today to map out new sanctions against Belarus. Some may target the country's airline, which is suspected of shuttling migrants from the Middle East. EU officials say they plan to visit the migrants' homelands and transit countries to try and put a stop to that. But Russia is firmly backing Belarus. Two nuclear-capable Russian bombers, similar to these that you're seeing, flew over Belarus today. The Kremlin said it was to test Belarus's defenses, but the warning to the West was unmistakable. Migrants who've made it across are telling harrowing stories of how they survived and how the Belarusian security forces treated them. One refugee described outright brutality by the soldiers, while another said that they all but pushed his group across the border.
We have 100, maybe 100 and more, a lot, 100. And going to Poland. He cut the cheek.
Who cut it?
Belarus soldiers. And say go to Poland.
Then Belarus police come, border guards come, followed us, and then they catch us, take an ease. We took an ease like this. In that way, there's a Belarus soldier just this side. He kicked me in the face with his foot, so I passed off about a couple minutes. Broke my nose and broke a bone in here, and my eyes are swollen like that.
All of this comes just a couple of weeks after the EU slapped Poland with $1 million a day fine, which Poland called blackmail, as they fought over laws and sovereignty. So how is that feud figuring into this handling of the crisis at the border? Senior international correspondent Fred Pleitgen has covered it all for us over the last couple of days, and he joins us now from Berlin. Fred, first and foremost, what are the chances that this hybrid warfare escalates into more conventional warfare?
Hi there, Bianca. Well, I don't think that either of the sides really want that to happen. In fact, it's certainly something that both sides have said that they don't want to happen. But of course, the threat is definitely there, and the threat is certainly growing. I mean, one of the things that we have to keep in mind in that area there, it's a very concentrated area, and what you have there is that the Polish side put in place around 9,500, maybe now over 10,000 of its own soldiers. And then, of course, on the other side, you also have a lot of Belarusian forces as well. And there was one incident that the Polish government talked about today where they released a video which seemed to indicate that a Belarusian border guard or soldier was firing a shot near the migrants. Now, it's very difficult to independently verify that. The Belarusian side said that it's not necessarily true. But of course, if you have those kind of forces so close to one another in a very tense situation, with, of course, all those migrants in between, it is something that could become very dangerous. And then, of course, you have the rhetoric that's going on. We heard the Kremlin, for instance, today, essentially blaming all of this on Poland. And then those flights by those strategic bombers, that in itself, even though the Russian side says that has nothing to do with the current crisis, they just wanted to test the Belarusian air systems, that in itself, of course, sends a clear message to NATO. And of course, all that makes for quite a volatile situation. And in the end, as we've been saying, neither of the side wants this to escalate, but it certainly is quite a dangerous situation, as the EU has said as well, Bianca.
And Fred, as this does escalate, rhetorically speaking at the moment, it's interesting to see alliances spring into sharp relief because in recent weeks and months, we've seen this tension between Poland and the European Union, specifically over them jostling about sovereignty over the Polish court and the European Court of Justice. So what impact, Fred, is that having on these current tensions and how it's managed?
Yeah, and of course you have the new abortion law in Poland as well that's caused a lot of friction with the European Union, of course caused a lot of friction in Poland as well as the whole debate and the verdict by Poland's constitutional court as to regards of European law trumping national law. All of that really made for a very difficult situation between Poland and the European Union. And it really seems as though right now those issues seem somewhat dormant as Poland is dealing with this conflict. And I think one of the things that we've seen, Bianca, is that up until a few days ago, there was a certain amount of criticism that came from the European Union as to the way that Poland was handling all of that. Specifically the fact that Poland, of course, has this emergency zone right now around its borders where journalists can't get in, a lot of NGOs can't get in for a very long time. European officials couldn't get in either. But it really seems as though since that situation has escalated, since that large amount of migrants have come to the border, it really seems as though the European Union is unifying behind Poland. And one of the things that I was looking at today, which I think is very interesting, is Poland, on the one hand, saying that this is not a migration crisis, but then Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the European Commission, using those exact same words. So it really seems as though the European Union right now is making an effort to show that it is not divided and that it stands behind Poland. And that really seems to be the case, that at least for a certain amount of time, it has really unified these countries where you do have those large issues that, of course, still will be there, even if and when this crisis ends, Bianca.
Fred Pleitgen in Berlin, thank you.